For years, you have been the driver. You've held the wheel, you controlled the speed, you chose the destination. You kept them safe, but suddenly, you are forced into the passenger seat.
Today is a special episode. It is our Season 3 finale, and I'm going to call it The Graduation. For years, you have been the driver. You kept them safe, but suddenly, you are forced into the passenger seat. You don't have a steering wheel anymore, and you can't hit the brakes. All you have is your voice and your influence. And that is terrifying, because if you realise that the goal of parenting isn't to drive the car forever, the goal is to teach them enough so that when they drive away solo, they make the right decisions without you. You have to breathe through the wobble, because if you grab the wheel every time it gets a little bit shaky, they never learn to correct the course themselves. You have to trust that that wobble is all part of the learning. When we stop trying to control the child they were, you get the privilege of meeting the adults they are becoming. And I promise you, that is the most rewarding relationship you will ever have. Hello, and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Narelle, and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. Today is a special episode. It is our Season 3 finale, and I'm going to call it The Graduation. But we aren't thinking about graduating from school. We are talking about you graduating from your old job description. So recently I asked myself, when does that shift actually happen? When do we stop being the manager of our kids' lives and start being their consultant? And the truth is, there isn't one defining moment. It's a long, slow process of letting go. I remembered a story the other day with my own son. He was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and we were reading a book together. We always read before bedtime. And I can't remember. I think it was Harry Potter, but don't quote me because it was probably Captain Underpants out of all things. And it was our thing. I loved doing the voices. I loved the shared time. It was part of our nighttime routine. And then one night, he just looked at me and said, "Mum, you don't need to read to me anymore. It's easier if I do it myself." And just like that, the ritual was over. It goes without saying, I never fully read the full Harry Potter series now. I only know how it ends because I actually watched the movies with them when they were a bit older. And it happened again when he started catching the bus. He'd say to me, "It's all right, Mum, don't worry, you don't need to take me. I'm just going to jump on the bus." And then there was the big one, the learning to drive. That is the ultimate metaphor for parenting a teenager. For years, you have been the driver. You've held the wheel, you controlled the speed, you chose the destination, you kept them safe. But suddenly, you are forced into the passenger seat. You don't have a steering wheel anymore, and you can't hit the brakes. All you have is your voice and your influence. And that is terrifying, because if you realise that the goal of parenting isn't to drive the car forever, the goal is to teach them enough so that when they drive away solo, they make the right decisions without you. So today in this finale, we are going to talk about how to survive the passenger seat, how to let go of control, and how to embrace influence. So if we are no longer the driver, what are we? We are graduating from the role of manager to the role of consultant. When they were little, you were the manager. You controlled the inputs and the outputs. Your job was prevention. You prevented them from touching the hot stove. You prevented them from falling down the stairs. But as they became adults, that job description expired. If you try to keep managing them, if you try to keep preventing every fall, you actually become the helicopter. And as we discussed in episode 24, that just wraps them in a bubble and leaves them unprepared for the real world. So here are 3 core duties of your new role as a consultant. Duty number 1, you are a safety net. You are not a helicopter. Now this is the hardest one. Your job is to no longer prevent the fall. Your job is to be there after they fall. You can give them advice. You can say, I think that's a risky choice. They might listen to you, or they might not. And honestly, often they probably won't. They need to learn from their mistakes, not yours. Although we always say to our kids, learn from my mistakes. Sometimes they do listen. But when they do fall, when they fail the test or lose the friend or dent the car, your job isn't to say, I told you so. Your job is to say, all right, let's figure this out. What are we going to do now? What's next? You catch them. You don't hover over them. You just show them how to maneuver around the obstacles. The second duty you have is to be available but not intrusive. A consultant doesn't barge into the CEO's office and demand a meeting. A consultant makes themselves available. This means shifting from the tell me everything, I'm around, to I'm around if you want to chat. It means trusting that if you have built the connection, they will come to you when they need you anyway. You are an open door, but you don't have a search warrant. There's a big difference. Your third duty is to be a partner and not a boss. A boss is one who gives orders and demands something be done, whereas a partner solves problems with you. When they come to you with a dilemma, you don't give them the answer. You ask the question. All you need to do is say to them, that sounds a bit tricky. What do you think you should do? You treat them as a peer who is capable of finding the solution, even if they need a little help getting there. Now, I have to be honest with you. When you first make this shift, when you first sit in the passenger seat, it's going to feel terrifying. I call it the wobbly wheel. It's when they first take control. They will swerve. They will slam on the brakes way too hard. The car will wobble and your instinct and every instinct in your body will scream, grab that wheel, pull the handbrake and make it stop. You will feel like a bad parent for letting them struggle. But if you have to hold your hands in your lap, you've got to do it. You have to breathe through the wobble, because if you grab the wheel every time it gets a little bit shaky, they never learn to correct the course themselves. You have to trust that that wobble is all part of the learning. So let's bring it together for the final time this season in true teacher style. I'll recap. We started with the hard truth. There is no single moment when parenting stops. It's 1,000 small goodbyes. Like my son telling me he didn't need me to read him his bedtime story anymore. He was going to do it himself. We explored the shift from manager to consultant. We learned that your old job, prevention and control, had expired. Your new job has 3 core duties: to be the safety net, not the helicopter, to be available, not intrusive, and to be a partner, not a boss. It's about trusting that you have taught them enough to drive the car themselves. This shift to the consultant role reminds me, for the last time in 2025, of a Sir Ken Robinson core philosophy about life itself. He often said, life is not linear, it's organic. We create our lives sympathetically as we explore our talents in relation to the circumstances they help to create for us. When we act as managers, we are trying to force our kids' lives into a straight line. But life isn't like that. It twists, it turns, it fails, and it grows. By stepping back into the passenger seat, we are finally allowing their lives to be organic. We are giving them the space to explore their own talents and create their own circumstances, even if that path looks nothing like the one we mapped out for them. So here we are at the end of season 3. We started our journey this season by looking in the mirror. We found all your triggers. We faced the ghosts of your upbringing. Then we learned the language of connection. We learned to read the unspoken cues, to stop the autopilot questions, and to flip the script on the broken records that hold our teens back. And today, we've arrived at the hardest part of all, letting go. Graduating from manager to consultant isn't easy. It means watching them stumble. It means biting your tongue when you want to scream at them, "I told you so." It means sitting in the passenger seat and trusting that you've taught them well enough to drive. But here's the beautiful part. When we stop trying to control the child they were, you get the privilege of meeting the adults they are becoming. And I promise you, that is the most rewarding relationship you will ever have. Before I go, I want to let you know that I'm taking a little break over the Christmas and New Year's period. We are going to pause and recharge and spend some time in that passenger seat for ourselves at Talking Teens Official. But I don't want to leave you unsupported. So if you need a guide over the holidays, maybe things get a little bit tricky over Christmas, or you just want to start the new year with a plan, I've got an idea for you. First of all, you can actually still jump into my school community, Talking Teens Official, or the Parent Teen Connection Playbook. I think I'll go under both names there, but it leads to the same thing. So that conversation will still be happening over the holidays 24/7, and again, the links are in the show notes. You don't need to white knuckle it. If you really want a good dose of me, then you can go back and listen to past episodes or grab a copy of my book, The Broken World of Education. It dives into everything we talk about here on Talking Teens Official. We will be back in your ears in early 2026 with a brand new season, some fresh topics, and some more tools to help you navigate this crazy journey. I want to wish you and your families a safe, peaceful, and connected holiday season. Whether you're celebrating, traveling, or just resting, I hope you find moments of joy. Thank you for letting me be part of your year. I really appreciate it. And thank you for doing the hard work on yourself and your kids. Until 2026, remember that focus. Connection over correction. I'm Narelle, and this is Talking Teens Official, and I'll see you next year.